And welcome to The Bottom Line, where we dig deep into the main business and economic stories of the day. Yesterday, we looked at the potential impact of Trump's America on wider Europe. Today, we want to look at the potential outcome of a second presidency on the Central and Eastern European region. Today, we also witnessed the Czech central bank cut key interest rates down to 4%. To discuss the significance of all this, I am glad to welcome back Lukáš Kovanda, chief economist from the Czech Trinity Bank and former advisor to the Czech government's National Economic Council from 2020 to 2022. Hello and welcome back to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So today, the Czech central bank cut its interest rates again by 25 basis points down to 4% as anticipated. How much lower do you think the central bank can go, and can we anticipate any more cuts this year or perhaps next year?
It may be quite difficult for our central bank to go down again this year. We expect it to go down next year, maybe 2 or 3 times. We will see. It depends especially on environment, global environment and the development regarding, for example, Trump's presidency and potential tariffs, which would hurt Czech economy quite a lot. And we will see what reaction will be on the side of ECB, European Central Bank, because now the expectation is growing that it will reduce its rates in a more quicker fashion, fast way to face headwinds coming from the coming US presidency of Mr. Trump. So then Czech National Bank would react to it, maybe even going further in a faster way than we had been expecting just a few days ago.
So we can anticipate basically that any further decisions from the central bank will depend on what happens in Europe and depending on what happens following the presidency once it settles in. But in terms of today's announcement, how can this improve the Czech GDP growth forecast? There was a recent interview with the Czech central bank member Jan Proháško, and he suggested that the GDP growth forecast of 2.8% for 2025 is too ambitious, and I wondered what your thoughts might be on that.
I completely agree with him. It's too ambitious, especially given the prospects I already mentioned of tariffs and worsening of global trade environment, because as you know, Czech economy is very much dependent on foreign trade and smoothness of foreign trade. If it's not going this way, there is a big problem for Czech economy. And we do expect that Czech economy only at less than 2% next year, 1.8. It's our forecast for today, so we do not expect it to be 2.8. It's too optimistic. And it maybe when Kamala Harris would be president, maybe it may go this way to 2.8, but still it would be optimistic. But under Trump's presidency, I think it's mission impossible.
Okay, so just on the back of those comments, and also I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the impact of Trump's election. How do you view Trump 2.0 impacting the Czech Republic and also the Central and Eastern European region? You mentioned that it would be very different had Kamala Harris won.
Yeah, under Kamala Harris, we would go probably quite the same way like under Biden. But with Trump's Central and Eastern Europe will very likely face a very difficult environment in global trade because of the tariffs, of course. And our countries, meaning Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovakia, to a lesser extent Poland, are countries that are very vulnerable to this worsening of global environment. And especially Czech economy and Hungarian economy. We saw it already yesterday when Hungarian currency forint, Czech currency, Czech crown, together with Mexican peso, were performing the worst among all global currencies because of the Trump presidency, the prospect of the Trump presidency. So this is clear sign that it's a very difficult time coming for Central and Eastern Europe, especially for Czech Republic and Hungary.
Well, actually, there was a weakening, but it was momentary in the sense that, we saw the regional currencies weaken after yesterday's election results, but they regained strength. Now the zloty and the forint have essentially regained their strength. The Czech koruna is a little bit of an outlier. Perhaps you could elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, there was also, of course, an overreaction of markets yesterday, because now there are, of course, no tariffs, and it may take a time for Mr. Trump to introduce them. There is also a debate if he finally really introduced them or not. We do not know, but the likelihood of this is quite high. So I do not expect it for 100%. Of course, I would be very happy if he somehow change his mind, but the risk is very high. And now we see some correction in the markets, but we cannot take it for granted that this is for a longer period of time. So we expect it to go. The currencies of Central and Eastern Europe will go down together with euro, because euro as a currency of the eurozone will be affected also negatively by the prospect of worsening conditions of global trade and by tariffs.
Indeed. So if Europe is indeed hit by these new tariffs from the US, it will obviously impact transatlantic trade. The Central and Eastern European countries aren't necessarily so exposed to the American market as much, but our exposure to European partners is indeed. Do you reckon that the impact, how would you be able to elaborate on the impact in our region?
We are a region of small and open economies. Many of them, or some of them, are quite dependent. To a large extent, they are dependent of Germany on, for example, German automotive sector, and this sector is now already in very bad shape. And together with the tariffs, not just tariffs on EU, direct tariffs of US on EU, but also with tariffs of United States on China, of course, there may be a downturn because of that in China. Chinese abilities to import cars from European Union would be diminished because of that. Worsening situation in Germany, worsening situation in Hungary because of the Germany, worsening situation in Czech Republic because, again, of the Germany. So via China, via Germany, the region of CE countries will be hit because of tariffs. So the prospects is quite bleak, quite pessimistic. And in 2027, we expect Czech economy to go down 4% compared to a baseline scenario without any new tariffs, just because of the tariffs. So it's quite a huge negative impact on Czech economy and even Czech employment, because we expect that there may be lowering of employment in Czech Republic by 55,000 people, which is quite high number for Czech Republic.
And just as a final question as we wrap up, would you consider Trump's victory a sad day for Central and Eastern Europe? Or is that too strong a statement?
It's just elections of Americans, so we have to respect it. So if tariffs are introduced, it's really sad day for, I would say, for Central and Eastern Europe economies. I am not sure about the nations as a whole, but for economies, it's bad news, these tariffs.
Or maybe this is
debate about that.
Or maybe this will be an opportunity for Europe to become a little bit more independent and re-strategize.
Yeah, that's a great remark. Of course, I completely agree with you. But in the meantime, it will be quite damaging, and then it may be better again the environment. But first we will face a downturn. But then, because of downturn, hopefully we will overcome it, and we will get out of the crisis even stronger than before. So
Okay.
let's hope.
Let's hope for the best. Okay, Lukáš Kovanda, thanks very much for joining us again today.
Thank you for having me. Have a nice evening.
And that was Lukáš Kovanda of Trinity Bank in the Czech Republic joining us today on The Bottom Line. I was your host, Marie Cato. Make sure you're with us every weekday for Business Arena at 5 p.m. CET on TVP World. For the latest in regional business, follow us on X and on tvpworld.com. Coming up next, World Talks. Goodbye.